Okay, so the next thing I want to address is this question that we had yesterday, right? What is the difference between an infographic and a data visualization, right? Now this is a map that is should be familiar to you. It is available as an official map on the IIT Bombay website, and usually this is also printed and given to visitors or as part of some brochure and things like that, right? It was done by Professor Mandar Rane along with some of his student. Probably it was one of the student projects that actually became this map, I think. One of the CD students in MDes. Now, this is what is called an infographic, okay? And because there is a very heavy editorial hand behind it, okay? You can see that because, see, first of all, the choice of the view, right, a particular vantage point from which the campus is viewed, okay, is a very conscious selection, right. Now, you might be familiar with this plan maps, right, which is directly an aerial view of the campus, which does not have this perspective, right. So, the choice of going with one map, one view as to the opposite view is a very conscious design, one, right. So, why do you think they chose this particular vantage point as well as the kind of this perspective look or a bird's eye view to this rather than a totally plan or aerial view? Because of the terrain. So, I mean the choice of the aesthetic style of the map is clearly very illustrative in nature, colorful. You can see that even the plans are all rendered, right? You see all the plans are rendered. You can see the mountain as realistically as it can be. It is a bit abstract, but still it is kind of realistic, right? And you have the lake, not just the lake, but also all the the water plants that are covering most of the lake and so on, right? So, I think one of the things is that many people will approach and they kind of orient and imagine the campus from this view, right. Incidentally, this also happens to be the north, and therefore, that is how conventionally maps are depicted. But then even if this was not north, this would have been the best way to present them, okay. So, the correct way to conventionally represent any map is to present facing north like this. If you have a north, then you have to kind of highlight this specifically to let people know that this is actually not north, but some other direction is north, right. But in this case, it was a good coincidence that both are same. But even if it was not, like I said, this would have been the best thing because this is how people imagine the campus. So, even long time residents will think of campus originating from here, okay. This is the entry point, and then there are sections which become immediately obvious, and there are some landmarks that are recognizable in this map, right. So, people can relate to it, and there are main thoroughfares, right. These major pathways are quite obvious, and therefore, we will be able to relate to it. But so, going for a little bit of realism, a top view, purely a plan would be more technical in nature, right, and therefore, little harder to relate to. Perspective view is a little bit easier to understand, okay. So, that was a choice, but it is heavily curated, right down to the details. You notice that not every building is depicted here, okay. So, there is some editing that has happened. So, some of the buildings are left out, but most of the buildings are there. And this is a map that is frozen in time, right. It kind of depicts the campus at one point of time, and it does not allow for additions to it, right. So, for example, 10 years down the line, if more buildings are being added, you cannot automatically update this map, right. You have to go back and start with the very basics and see if the old design still can accommodate these additional buildings or not, right. So, it probably will require rethinking of the design itself, right. So, it is not very flexible to accommodate changes, okay, or addition of new information. So, it is kind of very fixed, very specific, very editorial in nature and highly curated, okay, and it has got a lot of artistic treatment, right, aesthetic treatment to it, which are very specific to it. So this is the same campus as seen through the OSM, okay, OpenStreetMap. Okay, OpenStreetMap, if you guys don't know, this is an open source and crowdsourced map where the data is populated by enthusiasts who mark the geolocations of amenities, facilities, pathways, buildings, etc., etc. And there is a bunch of volunteers who make sure that this information is kind of very similar to like a Wikipedia, and therefore the quality of information that is present is not uniformly dense, such as a Google map, for example, right, which is a commercial map. For us as consumers, it is free to us, but if businesses were to use licenses from Google Maps, it's very extremely expensive for them to use it. Okay, I mean, you can't even imagine the price that some of these companies pay to Google to use their maps as part of their application. So this is OpenStreetMap, and as you can see that it has many of the buildings, but not all of the buildings. Okay, that's because nobody has actually put them there, and you could be that person who can do that. Okay, it does not have any specific aesthetic treatment because that's how it looks for the entire world. Okay, and you can notice that there are some of the data points are extremely detailed. For example, it marks every single security location. Okay, it also has every outdoor benches that are marked. Every dustbin is there, every water cooler is marked here, but not every building. Okay, the reason is because over the last few years, students of this course have added more and more data points in this, because I also have this as an assignment for the MDiv students. So if you go there to OpenStreetMaps, look up IIT Bombay campus, and then you look at any of these things, you will notice that who added these data points, when it was added, and who vetted that and approved it, etc. All the full history of that particular thing will be there. So somebody added all the amenities also, such as coffee shops, printing shops, Xerox shops, and so on. And this itself is a pretty old one, about maybe 2 years old. Now it's a lot more populated. And one batch of students actually plotted a lot of facilities in the Powai area. Okay, so what they did was they plotted every single type of shop. So you'll have this sweet shop, tailor shop, cobbler, medical shop, everything that has been plotted here. Okay, so the idea is that people contribute to it, and then there is also the bus stops, for example. All the bus stops are also marked here. What are the various bus stops and which buses stop here? So this is this is a lot of data. It takes a lot of work to get populated, and it doesn't look very impressive. But the thing is that these data can be separated and used anywhere. People can build applications using the data that is available here. Okay, because when you add data, you have to conform to certain submission standards, right? And you have to input them as geolocations. You have to give them proper tags and etc., so that people can extract this data and then use it in somewhere else. Okay. It allows for addition of data, it allows for editing of data, it allows for taking data from here and using it elsewhere. It allows for rendering of the maps in more ways than what it looks here. This is bare minimum, right? You can add styles to this map and so on. So it's extremely flexible and very open in nature. Okay, and everything is controlled by the code that runs behind it. Okay. So when you are adding data, you are actually adding some bit of code to this display, okay, and that makes it very rich. Some parts of the world, the OSM is much richer than the Google Maps. Okay, Japan is one such place. Okay, in Japan, people have made OSM so good that people in Japan actually use OSM instead of Google Maps. Okay, Google Maps data is not as good as the OSM data. And parts of Germany, I also heard, parts of Europe, so Germany and a few other countries, the OSM data is excellent. Okay, and you can build applications with it, right? You can build a lot of very interesting applications using data that you can extract from OSM. Okay, so coming to the critical differences, that's just two examples of the same campus but rendered differently, right? So in the book Designing Data Visualization, Elinsky and Steele used the following three criteria to determine whether something is a data visualization or an infographic, right? So the first one is the method of generation. This criterion refers to what goes into creating the graphic itself. If lots of original illustrations are created to explain the data, for example, it is likely to be an infographic. You can often see infographics with beautiful, elaborate images created to explain information. Quantity of data represented. Typically, data visualizations have more and different kinds of data from infographics. Also, the data in data visualization change frequently and to indicate changes in status. In addition, infographic is less likely to include interactive numbers. So, data visualization, can accommodate more. It is, it can display more data. It is flexible to changes, editing, and so on. So, for example, in this one, right, map, the security stations that are in the campus are all marked by this, not so very interesting icon, right, which is like the guy wearing like a police guy icon is there, right. That's because that's the standard icon that OSM uses for that kind of an amenity, right. That's a tag that you have to use, and then automatically it will put that in that geolocation. But somebody can just edit it, this entire map can reflect that, right. So all you need to do is change one icon, and then the whole look of it will change. The way buildings are represented, some of these other amenities are, can be all edited, and it can reflect in the entire map. Okay, degree of aesthetic treatment applied. This criteria refers to the artfulness of the graphic. A lot of design work has gone into displaying information. Graphic is likely to be an infographic. Okay. So in other words, infographic is a very specific solution to a very specific problem, and that is where it ends also, right. It cannot do a lot of, it cannot accommodate a lot of data. It is usually fixed in time, and it serves a very specific purposes, and it cannot be reused for other purposes. So many of the data visualization that we have created for elections are all are data visualization because we only contain, we created the containers, right, which are the visualizations, and the data can be replaced. Okay, so we created it for one election, and for the next election, all we needed was to change the database, right. So make small changes the code, so it uses the current election, not the previous election, right. The visualization automatically changes to display that. So in other words, infographics are representation that is manually drawn. Okay, it's very manually drawn, and therefore custom treatment of information, specific to the data in hand, and therefore non-trivial to recreate it with different data. Okay. So the map of IIT Bombay that you saw is very specific to the campus that we have. Again, it will not work for a different campus such as Madras, IIT Madras, for example, right. You cannot apply the same treatment because the geography will be different, the orientation will be different, the types of buildings may be different, and so on and so forth, right. It is very specific to this. OSM map on the other end doesn't matter, right. The same treatment can be applied to any campus, it doesn't matter. It is aesthetically rich, strong visual content meant to draw the eye and hold interest, and it is relatively data poor because each piece of information must be manually encoded. Okay. So the IIT Bombay campus went through several iterations before the stage that it reached, the stage that we see now, but it was like an entire P3 project or something like that for the student, right. It took about 3 or 4 months to do that map, okay, because every single thing is illustrated by hand. So data visualization, on the other hand, are algorithmically drawn, may have custom touches, but it is largely rendered with the help of a computerized methods. It is easy to regenerate it with a different set of data, right. I mentioned about the elections, right. We just created one visualization for a particular election. For the next election, we use the same visualization with the different data. Often they are aesthetically barren, but that is mostly because the tools are difficult to use, right? They are getting progressively more and more easier to it, and some of the times when you have better control over the tool and you have more programming ability, then you can custom treat them as well, right? The thing is, because everything has to be built from scratch, the code, you have a lot more flexibility. It is relatively data rich. Large volumes of data are welcome and viable in contrast to infographics. Okay.